Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the Summit 5 Southeast Asian Qualifiers. We're here, game number 3, MVP.Phoenix facing off against Fnatic, and we've seen a little bit of a change so far. Beastmaster taken in the first phase, followed up by the Batrider, Witch Doctor, and then the Lion. I'm Lyrical, joined by Scant. It seems like MVP want to change their tactics.
Yeah, they banned different heroes. They were banning in the previous games. They were banning Beastmaster, and I think was it the Bat with it. And now they banned the Dogs and the Venge, which Fnatic have had both Doxia and Venge in both of the previous games. So I think it makes sense. You're 2-0 down. You've gone against similar heroes both times. Like, at least force a mix-up. Even if MVP aren't sure what's wrong in terms of the draft, if they're fine with the draft situation, it's still worth it in this situation. Even if you thought your draft was fine, to just force something different into the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I mean, clearly they had a lot of faith in what they were doing, and it didn't end up working out for them. They do have the first-round pick of the second phase as well, and they're opting to ban out the Ancient Apparition. So this sort of goes to show again that they're not trying to run what they were running before. With your back up against the wall, it's certainly a bit of a problem, and I mean, the Batrider Witch Doctor, it's a strong combo. You have the ability to get a quick lasso into a Witch Doctor ultimate, but the one thing that's a little bit of an issue is you've also got the Beastmaster roar into like a Lion Finger. So these are both issues that you need to contend with for MVP.Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested to see with Fnatic not having the Venge, having the Lion now, if it'll still be DJ playing it, if it'll still be 3-4-3 playing the Roamy hero and DJ playing the sort of laning hero, because it was something for me at least new for the series. I don't know. I hadn't seen their most recent matches, so I'm not sure if it's something more generally that they've been doing. But it certainly, historically it was 3-4-3 playing those laning heroes. And MVP.Phoenix this time, they get the Lifestealer. So very big change in the dynamic from the first two games is that so far MVP.Phoenix in all their first picks, they're not very dependent on long ulti cooldowns. Witch Doctor's ulti has a pretty long cooldown, but it's not like you pick Witch Doctor for its ulti. It's an extra thing that you get from the hero. It's there for the casks, it's there for the heal and the maledict, and they're the ones with the Lifestealer, they're the ones with the bats. And Fnatic, for their part, don't really have long ulti cooldowns they depend on that much either. I mean, the Raw and the Bat ulti are about the same, so they're both kind of medium length cooldowns.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if any of the teams do go, if either of the teams go for any heroes with long ulti cooldowns in this game.
I would be a little bit surprised, just given how well we've seen Fnatic do with those low cooldown ultis. And you mentioned it there. I was sort of alluding to the fact that Batrider and Beastmaster fulfill the same role. Witch Doctor and Lion do as far as their ultimates, but very different in terms of the sort of pre-6 style of play, and even post-6, to be honest. But yeah, the Paralyzing Cask. Also, we've seen Witch Doctors go for some more maledict builds if they think that they're going to have to try and zone out the offlaner. Beastmaster could end up just going for that straight-up Iron Talon and head off either to his own camp or into the jungle, depending upon how Fnatic want to play it. And they've shown a proclivity to heading into the jungle with their offlane hero and just leaving it alone. So I kind of would like to see MVP take another hero that can roam and possibly just try and get those levels up on the Witch Doctor early so that he can start to become a force a little bit more quickly in the game.
Yeah, although again, in the first two games, MVP had a Tusk which could roam and didn't really get any value out of it in either of the games, so it's difficult. I mean, Fnatic, they go for the Phantom Lancer, which matches up fantastically well against the Lifestealer. It's a very difficult hero for Lifestealers to fight against. And it's also a hero that, again, it can fight early, it can scale, and it doesn't depend on any kind of long cooldowns.
I do like it. It definitely feels like it's a pretty great answer, and I was wondering if we were going to maybe see an Invoker in this game. Naturally, having the PL already as a counter out, it sort of dissuades MVP.Phoenix from taking it for themselves, but I still think that it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you have two capabilities of comboing together Batrider stuff with obviously the lasso into Sunstrike if they want to try and play that way. Or Fnatic could take it for themselves, but instead they're going to be taking the Jakiro. And we've been seeing this hero around a little bit more often, played in the mid-roll. What is it that teams love about this guy?
It's very punishing against melee heroes. Melee heroes really struggle against the hero, and also it's just very good at pushing. And it's good at pushing in like a non-cooldown based way. So it's not like a DP where you need your exorcism. You always have liquid fire, and so you can always push. And anytime there's any gap, your team is nearby, you can just go for a tower. I think it's still possible it could be a support. I can't remember who it was. I think it was one of the Chinese games. There was a team that did run a support Jakiro recently. So it can be mid, can be support, and we don't have the full information. But what we do know is that MVP.Phoenix do want to be able to be aggressive and convert into objectives without being dependent on the big cooldowns.
All right, well, it seems like Fnatic have taken one direction for their game to go, which is a little bit into the later stages. Meanwhile, MVP.Phoenix, if it is going to be a core Jakiro, they certainly cannot go late game against this lineup. I like the idea, though, of Phoenix trying to just double down upon this aggression and see if they can punish Fnatic for these two heroes that, while they're great at the later stages, can still be a little bit of an issue in terms of coming online quickly.
Yeah, I think MVP can't go late with this draft no matter what now. After the PL and the Medusa have been picked, and it's a kind of sneaky move from 3-4-3 in a way, because you almost force MVP to go all in on the early game aggression and pressuring of objectives because you've picked these heroes. And even with 4 heroes, I think it almost doesn't matter what the 5th hero on MVP is. So they're really going to struggle to go late. While Fnatic, they're not exactly limited to only being late. Medusa and Phantom Lance are actually both reasonably strong heroes early on in the lane stage, so it certainly puts the pressure on MVP.
I think that they are strong, but you compare them to something like a Lifestealer, and maybe even a Batrider can come online early. It feels like that, like to me, Lifestealer is the embodiment of coming online early and being able to fight. You just need that armlet and you're ready to go. I don't expect, though, like, there's no way that Medusa goes for something like a Lincoln Sphere in this game, right? I just feel like that's not quick enough, or am I wrong in that assessment?
I mean, I don't know. It's not clear that you never pick Medusa to, like, I don't know, what are you expecting her to do? Like, buy 6 Wraith Bands or like, she can't. Her progression is still going to be for like the mid to late game.
Yeah.
But it's just that the hero you can play the hero slightly differently. You can come to fights, get value out of your ulti, get value out of the early snakes, and Fnatic, they do go for the Kunkka, and we saw yesterday MVP play the Kunkka themselves, but that was a mid Kunkka for Kyo, which this is almost certainly going to be a support Kunkka for I guess, I don't know, DJ or 3-4-3. We can't tell at this stage because they've been mixing around.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. I'm actually pretty stoked to see this. Yeah, we saw yesterday it was MVP.Phoenix that was running it. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was Kyo in the mid lane.
There's a chance that that's something that they might have wanted to run themselves. God, if that was something that MVP.Phoenix wanted to pick and they were able to deny that one away, I don't think it could have been. Well, there's a chance. It might have fit okay with their draft. But regardless of that, it is going to be Fnatic that are running it, and this is going to allow the constant initiation. It gives them a very strong teamfight ultimate, pretty good push ability as well. Like this, look at this draft. Can you imagine seeing this draft even one patch ago? I'm loving the patch and the way that it's been working out. Lone Druid is the last pick for Phoenix, and this is going to be their ability to just try and take down towers quickly.
Yeah, so it's very clear that the early timing is meant to favor MVP. They're hoping to get ahead and then just push and end the game that way. And I mean, the Lone Druid they're actually going to run for forever looks like on the off lane, with the Batrider being in the mid lane. And I don't know, the Kunkka pick is interesting. It's certainly, I think it's for the early team fights. They wanted a support here that could give them, like, the torrent and the ship, that extra power if they are those early 5v5s, so that they don't have to just drop all their towers when they're being pushed. And that'll be sort of for me, that'll be the key deciding point in this game. When we do see MVP start to group up and go for towers, can Fnatic hold them back? Or if they suddenly lose 6 towers in a row, they definitely are going to struggle in this game.
Yeah, that's something that's going to be, I mean, if they, like you said, if MVP.Phoenix fall behind, not only is it going to be like them losing the game, it's going to be probably one of the most disheartening ways to lose a game, which is just you want to take a fight, but then you fall behind, you don't have enough ability to take a fight, and then Fnatic just stall out the game, and eventually you lose it by default. But they do have a tremendous amount of ability to push towers early, and this is something that can definitely work into their favor. We're going to see if they're capable of making happen again. Dubu goes down to the bottom lane, is going to lay down a ward early, but Mushi's going to spot him out, and that should give them the signal that, hey, guess what? Our camp is blocked, let's go take care of that. And it looks like they want to try and get aggressive.
Mushi TP'd in early, got the ward up. This is something Fnatic for the longest time been good at. There was a stage where Ohio was maining Nature's Prophet, and he'd actually take teleport level 1 just to TP deep and get wards and know about the enemy wards. So DJ's going to look for the ward here, he's going to find it, and It's already an early advantage for Fnatic, and it's quite important as well when you're the sort of more defensive team. When the aggressive team gets up early, vision advantage over you, it can really work in their favor. Whereas if they don't have that vision, it makes them a little bit more nervous to be aggressive sometimes.
Absolutely. It's something where they're going to be able to have that advantage moving into the early part of this, but the D ward did end up not coming as of yet. The Lion ends up being able to spot him out, and it looks like they're going to be able to keep eyes on the rest of the side of the Dire who are here. QO thinking about going on to Mushi, but no great luck as far as it goes, as far as being able to take the fight. So what do you think about this matchup? You've got now the Jakiro, Lifestealer, and the Witch Doctor facing off against what looks to be the Lion and the Medusa. How do you feel about this matchup?
It's an extremely favorable matchup for MVP, not least because it's 3v2, but what helps Fnatic is that they did manage to unblock the pool camp, so they could try and make use of that. It's something that often is punishing to aggressive lanes. If the defensive lane can just approach the lane passively, get pulls off, and suddenly you get this XP disadvantage that you have 3 heroes sharing XP in one lane, and on the side of Fnatic, if you can get XP from the pool camp and from the lane, you get a level advantage. That could be a problem. But MVP will try and just manually stop them from getting value from that pool camp this game, even though it isn't blocked. And it's a dangerous lane for Fnatic, certainly. Like if they do get a bit behind, it could really be like a walkover. So they need to be careful not to give up those early deaths.
Well, we'll see if they're going to be able to make enough happen. The Torrent is up for the Kunkka, and it's a hero that does have decent base damage, but Torrent not the easiest to land. Even if they do end up throwing out one, maybe not going to be able to follow it up because QO is not going to be able to get X marks the spot just because of Rage. Do you think that Witch Doctor in this lane just ends up going straight back for the heals? Actually, QO is going to cut the creep wave too. Yeah, this is really tough here. Fnatic going to try and pull the creep wave over to him, but even last scene under tower is going to be a bit of a chore.
And in the meantime, it's MVP who actually managed to get the pull off to the side, which is really important because it's a disadvantage you can get when you're running the aggressive lane. But if you're the ones denying the creeps and getting the extra XP, you instead have the advantage. This 3v3 lane is most likely to be the decisive lane if there's action here. Just because running aggressive lane, if you lose it, it's game losing. But if you win it, you can really shut down the Medusa, which is important here. But it looks like Dubu is the one under pressure to start with, and
taking a little bit of damage. 343 is also going to be open wounds up, tosses out a Torrent, and is going to only catch onto the Jakiro, walks into the Roche pit. Maybe he could have gotten denied there, but it looks like he's going to go down to the Jakiro. The Liquid Fire comes out, and that's going to be going the way of Febby. Pretty well played.
Yeah, so that's scary stuff, because it is... Yeah, I don't know. These kind of 3v3 lanes can snowball out of control. I wouldn't say that is snowballing out of control. That's literally just one kill so far. But if one team kind of like completely shuts down or wins a 3-0 fight or something like that, it can shut out. I mean, there's a very simple explanation for it, right? It's 3 heroes in one lane, and so if you get a big win in that lane, it's more than half the enemy team that's sort of being shut out in their early game impact.
So what about these other 2 lanes here? It feels like it's just been sort of a farm fest from the start. Like mid, we haven't really seen a ton of kills, a little bit of an advantage being built, but actually as I say that, we're going to have some more battles going on. They're trying to chase down Dubu, not able to get him. But is there anywhere we need to be concerned about as far as these other 2 lanes are concerned?
It's probably a bit scary for MVP that Beastmaster and Lone Druid just trade with each other. In fact, the Beastmaster is getting better value than the Lone Druid, and Beastmaster is much better early timings. He's going to get a lot when he gets level 6. He can go and rotate. When he gets Necros, he's got an early timing for fighting. And Lone Druid, it's one of the downsides of that hero. I was going on and on about how MVP aren't ulti dependent, and they aren't. They're not like long cooldown dependent here. But with that last pick Lone Druid, they are kind of there's a timing that they depend on. The Lone Druid has to get to his Radiance, and we've often seen teams get punished by a game that's too fast paced for their Lone Druid. So it puts even more pressure, I think, on MVP to be getting a positive trade in this 3v3 lane. And at the moment they're out farming the Medusa. They have gotten 1 kill, but it's not like they've destroyed the lane. They've gotten an advantage in it.
Did Lone Druid's bear go down? Like, I don't know how that ended up happening, but it seems a little bit strange to me. Kyo takes some damage, but the hasted up DJ is going to be moving in mid and seeing if they can make something happen against this Bat Rider. If they could find a kill, it'd be huge, but he Well, realizing for the moment that something could be awry, they go forward, are going to be able to get the Earth Spike from the low ground, trying to find a kill. The Torrent follow-up is there. They also get off the Hex. Mid one dropping low is going to end up being able to doppelganger away from that one. And it looks like it's going to be a clean pick. Well played.
Yeah, so a very good movement from Fnatic, and of course the Batrider is, I would say, the most important hero for MVP when it comes to early timings. The same way I said Beastmaster, once he gets level 6, a couple items, he's going to be making kills all the time. The Batrider needs to get level 6, needs to get Blink Dagger. That's where the tempo controlling is going to come from on the side of MVP. But it looks like MVP have switched to the top lane and trying to get this tower early on.
Yeah,
it's a good move. They recognize that they're not shutting down the 3v3 lane that much, and also the Beastmaster is like getting too much value. So if they can push him out of the lane and kill his tower, that'll be good for them.
Mid one, dropping low in the mid lane. He did end up having the 4 stacks of napalm on him, but is not going to end up falling and is going to just trade on over his bottle to DJ for the moment, get it filled back up and regen a little bit more. It's crazy to me how much damage Ohio's been able to do this. Bear actually goes for the resummon now and is going to try and do a little bit more, but literally the boar is like almost killing off the bear. It's ridiculous to me that that's actually a thing.
Yeah, it's been so much time attacking it all the time, and okay, it looks like Fnatic, they're going for an aggressive move in this top lane actually, and Kunkka comes in with the X, and this might be forever in pretty big trouble.
There's going to be the spike, it comes out, and oh, pretty good root. They throw out the roar, going to bring him low. That is going to be a kill, and no chance to kill off Ohio. They also had just resummoned the bear, so going to be down for 86 seconds. Very, very unfortuitous, and it's starting to feel like Fnatic may be taking a little bit bigger leaps here than MVP.
Yep, and it's really big considering the fact that the Lone Druid is the timer that's going to hold them back the most. So to hold him even further back, it's like, okay, now you're going to get your Radiance at 20 minutes instead of 16, 17 minutes, something like that. And it has a knock-on effect, right? Because the slower you get to your Midas, the slower you get to your Relic, the slower you get to your Radiance kind of thing. And it looks like what MVP have decided is, well, Lone Druid, there's no point going back to the top lane while you don't have your Spirit Bear. So he just TPs down to the bot lane with his teammates and he's going to sit here for a while.
Kind of an interesting decision as the Medusa is going to be here. That Mystic Snake does so much damage, but that does leave open again the chance for Kunkka and Ohio to try and take out a bit more damage onto these creeps. They're going to be able to try and push in the tier 1 tower a little bit possibly. QO is actually going to head up here for MVP instead. And this is a lane that I think Beastmaster needs to be a little bit more careful about, because the change recently with Beastmaster's boars, you can rage off the slow if you need to. It's an option, but still the roar available. You need to be careful.
Yeah, Cure is very strong. He's like, until the Batrider gets to blink, he's going to be the most important hero for MVP in the early game. But in the jungle, it looks like Dubu's courts, and
this could be a big one if they're able to get it. X comes through. They're trying to take down these stacks at the same time, and DJ no mana for the Earth Spike as of yet, but they're going to be able to right-click down and steal a couple of those important creeps from the Batrider. So yeah, the Fnatic just, again, dotting their I's and crossing their T's. They're moving in at every point and trying to shut down what MVP are doing.
Yeah, and again, remember, we need to consider the fact that it's MVP who have a lot of pressure on them to get stuff done early, but it's Fnatic who feel like they're quite comfortable right now. So it's, you know, even if the game...
He finds the kill there on the Batrider, and actually he's going to end up taking down Febby maybe as well. Can he find him? And goes to the Spirit Lance, is going to fall. Oh, mid one lives. That really, really hurts. He's able to take down a double kill there.
If this game continues on its current trajectory, it could be quite a surprisingly fast win for Fnatic, to be honest, just because MVP's draft is really not designed to play from behind. It's not a...
Oh god, bottom lane! The Lone Druid goes down to the Mystic Snake bounce. Mushi finds one.
That snake chunked him. That was a huge amount of damage.
Oh,
what did it deal? 366 damage.
That's pretty absurd. It just feels right now like MVP are... This does not feel like the style of Dota that we've seen from him in the past. I'm not sure if it's just a not being on land type of thing or what exactly is happening, but this whole series, it's just been really a struggle. And QO is going to get chased down a little bit. They weren't quite able to hit the Torrent, but by the same token, you're seeing the mid-tier 1 towers start to drop as Ohio is rotated in. He's got his boars, the 2 points right now in the Inner Beast Aura, and it feels like in this draft where MVP needed to be aggressive, they needed to try and end the game early, they're just in such a difficult spot. And Lone Druid has almost had his bear less than he's had his bear.
They're so used to MVP are so used to being the aggressors, being the team that sets the tempo, being the team that's playing faster than the enemy team, and Fnatic have just matched them completely in all of the games in the series. Like even in this game, where to some extent MVP have more tools available to set the tempo of the game, Fnatic just got over those first 5 minutes, which were pretty dangerous for them potentially.
MVP in the diving the tier 2 tower right here, mid 1 just showing no respect for MVP at all, and that Jakiro pick hasn't. I mean. There's not a whole lot else to say about it. There's nothing that MVP have to really stop this from happening at this point, just because of how bad this laning stage has gone for him.
Yeah, it's as soon as the rotation started happening, as soon as the gank started happening, MVP were losing out each time, and they're the ones who have towers under pressure.
Bottom lane, they kill off Forev again as he resummons. 72 seconds again with no bear. Oh
this
my
is
god.
Like, not to meme or anything, but they are crumbling. That's MVP are crumbling. They are falling apart, and it's happening really, really quickly. And it's out of all the games we've seen so far, this is the one where it's most dangerous for them to crumble early on, because they have no chance if the game goes late. Really, like none at all.
Yeah.
This is Jakira's not meant to play from behind. Batrider is gonna have blink soon, so this is like the opportunity for them to turn around the momentum. Based on the Batrider's blink, we talked about in the previous game the Faceless Void, Shadowblade. There's certain pickups that do potentially turn things around, and they're going to need to in a big way, because this Lone Druid is so far behind his progression to a Radiance. He's far behind his progression to a Midas even.
Yeah. You can see there as well in the top lane, the support Kunkka level 5 just torrents QO because he can. It's like it's even the mind games trying to get inside of MVP's head a little bit just to mess with them whenever possible. And it does feel like there's that element of it where Fnatic, this team that you talked about it, they've beaten them out of several LAN appearances, and it's showing why this has happened. They resummon the bear again, trying to make a move into the jungle to see if they can find a kill, but no such luck. Everybody from Fnatic has rotated towards the top, and they're not going to get caught out here.
Yeah, and this is, yeah, again, it's Fnatic reading MVP well, recognizing the Batrider blink timing will come soon, and that will be the key opportunity for MVP to pull back the momentum in the game. And Fnatic just completely avoid it. Go clear Ancient Stack, and even if they lose their tier 1, so be it. You know, it's really not the entire enemy team went there, you cleared an Ancient Stack. It's actually a decent trade for Fnatic.
Well, that is going to end up going about this way, and we'll see if they can make anything else off the back of it. Again, it's not to be underestimated how much pushing potential this lineup's got. You can pull somebody out of position with the Batrider. He has his blink online now. You've got the Lone Druid Bear when he's alive, who's capable of just, ripping through those, as well as the Jakiro and QO on this Lifestealer. It's just a matter of getting into a position where they're able to just right-click away at those towers, and maybe that's going to happen down here at the tier 2.
I don't know. Fnatic could defend this, I think. It's the one component of pushing is how fast you kill buildings, but the other, just as important component, is what you do when the other team just comes and takes you on. And it's not clear to me that MVP have that favorable fighting position just yet, so I'd be a little bit nervous to actually commit to this tower if I were MVP. And I fully expect Fnatic to contest, and
scary moment indeed. They're going to try and wrap around. Actually going to pull back DJ QO inside of him, but roared up for the moment. They're not going to be able to kill off that Lion, and now in a lot of trouble. Rages trying to fight through this. If they can, MP is going to be able to fall, as they are going to be able to jump on top of him. Doppelganger, as well as the right clicks from those illusions, actually still alive for the moment, and they have lost the Lifestealer, so still okay that they didn't lose the Batrider, but given the context of QO going down, I don't think that that's worth it by any stretch of the imagination.
I mean, they just barely got their Batrider out, and they just barely killed the Lion, whereas the Lifestealer was like a sure thing, so it feels like the fight could easily have been a lot worse for MVP, not a lot better. Like, they weren't anywhere near to the fight being better than it was. They were quite close to it being worse, and it wasn't even that good.
Yeah.
So this is this is a very worrying sign, because sure, you have a Jakiro that helps you push, you have a Lone Druid that helps you push, but if the enemy team is able to just, even though they're like slightly more late game oriented, if they're able to just come contest you every time you push, what's the plan going to be? Is it going to be to get pickoffs? That is, I mean, that's what they try to do. They smoke with the Batrider, they try and get those pickoff initiations, and if they can kill an important target before a fight, then they probably can push. But that's the one thing that Fnatic need to avoid, and For the next 5 minutes of the game, Fnatic are going to just cruise ahead as long as they avoid Batrider getting key pickoffs.
I talked about this at the very opening of the game, that if Fnatic end up off to a good start, if they're capable of getting to a lead out of the laning stage, it's one of the more disappointing ways to potentially lose a game as well, because there's just no momentum, no ability to take control of your own right. Like, you can go for smoke ganks, but if you don't end up hitting onto them, what are you left to do? That you just try and farm up some items, but you're farming into trying to a lineup that's better at farming than you. Meanwhile, 343 does have his Torrent up, and it's going to hit that from afar. Connects onto MP with the ability, but yeah, this is looking really from bad to worse. The 3 points in X marks the spot, too. He's about to be able to have level 4, which is 1,000 range initiation.
Yeah, and they are smoking in, so looking to initiate something.
Febby spotted, as is MP. If they can catch the Batrider, this would just be disastrous, but it looks like they're stalking, seeing if they could find somebody. Boar is still scouting it out, and there's going to be the Torrent. The initiation comes. Finger of Death. So much damage. The boat doesn't even connect because he was already dead. Oh, God.
And this is one of the downsides of the Lone Druid pick in these drafts. It's a very tricky thing to put together, right? Lone Druid, you pick it in an early push strategy, but if the hero manages to get shut down, it's just a nothing hero. They're playing 4v5 at the moment to the side of MVP. The Lone Druid can't do anything. And I mean, look, usually the thing with Lone Druid is you just can't shut it down. Even in this game, he's not that far off the net worths. You know, he's just behind the Beastmaster, despite the fact that he's been totally shut down. Well, Fnatic, they just roar up the Lifestealer. They're gonna probably pull back. Yeah, happy with the tower kill.
343 is still gonna get open wounds, but there's just no ability to follow it up. They're constantly just trying to find any small little pick that they can, but there's not a great possibility. They do end up pulling back onto Mushi. He still has his ulti, though, and a very tanky hero indeed. He's got 13 wand charges, the Witch Doctor ultimate. Oh, no. It's just... It feels bad trying to, like, criticize their play at this point, because they're playing from such a deficit, and it's not really fair at that point. But Forev going to get chased down, and Savagor keeps him away for the moment, and TP's out.
Yeah, this is like watching two armies fight a battle, and one of them is like actual swords made of steel, and the other one is like wooden swords, and it's like, okay, well, the army with wooden swords are probably going to lose out, and the bigger problem is that they got into a fight where they have wooden swords and the enemy has steel swords. That's the bigger
got
problem.
A shotgun right now, honestly. I mean, Fnatic are all over the place, and again, they've got the perfect heroes to make it work, too. They're not relying on long cooldowns, either. Kunkka with the boat, I mean, this spell is so underrated. 60-second cooldown with 400 damage and a big AoE, and you're able to throw that out also with an X marks the spot cooldown that goes down to 8 seconds. So it's just, the initiation potential on Fnatic is ridiculous with this hero.
Yeah. With the Necro 3 up now as well on the Beastmaster, it's actually Fnatic who can start pushing out all the towers. I mean, they've already been pushing some. They've only lost one tower. That's the team that picked to support Shakiro has killed one tower in 17 minutes. The team that has the stronger late game has killed most of the towers already. And this is, again, we're at a similar point in the game, like the first and second game, around 18-20 minutes, where it feels like one or two more bad fights for MVP and the game is over. And the scary thing this time is that the tools are not available for them to have good fights. So it's basically just, if fights happen, they're probably gonna lose the game. They need to somehow get their Lone Druid to Radiance, hopefully get some pickoffs, and maybe they're trying to sneak this top tower, which I think they just about get because Fnatic are rushing.
Yeah. And that's something. It's something going their way. They don't get the last hit for the Jakiro, sadly, but it is at least going to be a little bit of gold going back into their coffers. And he's starting to be able to build into the Radiance, but still really far away from it. Echo Saber on the Lifestealer on top of his armlet. I mean, the only way I really see this working is if they get, like, basically into a position where Fnatic are stuck in a macro pyre for the full duration.
Yeah, it's scary stuff. Again, the Lone Druid is just such a... And it was the last pick in the draft. Before they picked the Lone Druid, they're in a position where they could do badly in lanes and just go fight. But MVP now, they have a hero that just can only farm, and everyone else is the other 4 heroes are looking for a gank here with the smoke. They very possibly will get the Lion.
This might be a big one. All right, DJ goes down, and also mid 1 is over here. So mid 1 smartly is going to back out for the moment. That if they catch mid 1 there, it's a lot better. But now they might need to back out as well because Mushi is here, as is going to be the rest of Fnatic, and seeing if they can find somebody. They've got eyes on a mid 1 looking for the catch, and looks like they're just going to be content with the Lion gank.
Yeah, I mean, this is, in all of the games we talked about this. In game 1, Fnatic's bounty hunter would get picked off, and it just didn't matter. In game 2, the advantage would get picked off. Here it's the Lion. It's so not enough. It's the furthest thing from enough for MVP. They need big pickoffs, like to really stall the timings, to really delay, to get their lone druid to the Radiant. So at the point, right now he's got his relic. So it's not a great timing, but he's got it, and he will get to the Radiance probably before the game ends. But this feels to me like, we look at the last game, Spectre got to Radiance, and the fights just, they lost them anyway, and it does feel to me like, while they need the Radiance for the Lone Druid to be involved, there's a good chance that that first fight with the Lone Druid Radiance is still a fight that Fnatic win.
Oh god. Run away QO on your life stealer. He's inside of a little melee creep. It's actually just gonna get torrented on his way out of the jungle. Oh man. And when I think about Medusa, I talked about the Linken's pickup. I didn't think it was necessarily the greatest. Normally this is because you have to contend with a lineup that's pushing into you early, but for Fnatic, they're able to take this with impunity. There's no great pressure that's coming their direction, and now this big, tanky, bulky hero is just going to cause so many issues. MP is actually going to get roared up now, and Ohio chasing him down to get X-marked by the Kunkka 343, but they're going to be fine.
And MVP just looks so feeble when they're on the defensive. It's 2 different lanes, 2 different kills. It's just, you know, doing what they need to do. Again, it was Febby trying to like cut the waves and hope that he could get like a sneaky tier 1 kill. But I think it's desperation at this point. I think MVP realized that they're on their last legs. They're in big trouble. This game has not gone at all how they wanted it to go.
Yeah, well, and now you've got Fnatic marching up. The top tier 3 tower is going to start to fall again. This is their moment to take this and move into the qualifiers. I mean, it's the finals. This is where we're at. They got the Radiance up on Lone Druid, so Bear going to start to try and run these heroes down. They do still have Kunkka boat if they want to throw it out. It looks like with that Radiance reveal, Fnatic are going to back out for the moment.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation where like Fnatic don't have to do anything. There's no pressure on them. The lead they have right now, they could split up, they could farm the map, they could extend their lead, they could go late. They can decide whenever they want, like, okay, now's the time we'll take a fight, or now's the time we'll try to go high ground. But there's no pressure on them at all. It's not like the game is not getting better for MVP. They aren't. The only way the game gets better for MVP is for MVP to take bigger pickoffs or favorable fights. So Fnatic can actually just play as safe as they like, and almost a sure thing to victory at this point.
Yeah, everything that they could possibly want at this stage has gone their direction, and now you've got a Manta Stell on 2 separate heroes. Again, a very defensive item for Mushi. I think it's okay still. I don't think that they have to worry about it, but it's not going to allow them to close out the game, which, again, they don't have to do. But
oh, here comes the clash.
Maybe a little bit
of Beastmaster.
Yeah, they're not going to spot each other and go for it as of yet, as MVP realizing rightly that if they try and take a fight at this point, it's going to go terribly wrong. 343 continuing the chase and seeing if he can find them, but is not going to be able to make it happen as the Torrent is not going to connect. MP TP's out, Lifestealer inside, and that's the best that they can do is hold out for this point, but hold out for what?
Yeah, I don't know. This is... These are dire times for MVP.Phoenix. 2 games. The whole mood of the entire series has just felt like MVP.Phoenix have not been quite there. Fnatic have been more than there. Fnatic have been, you know, people are talking. Oh, okay.
Roar, top lane. Febby's going down. No problem.
People are talking about like how Fnatic are going to do once Mushi's back and they change their lineup again. And I think if anything, they look better in this series. They look better than I've seen them at all, and they've been really fantastic. I don't know if part of it's also the role allocation. They've switched DJ and 343 around. Everything seems to add up, just like the way that they're drafting. Maybe MVP a little bit weak, but Fnatic have looked really fantastic. They've looked better than they did at the Shanghai Major in this series, and I, for one, am really excited to see this team more going ahead. I mean, I don't want to talk as if the game's over. There's some room for MVT to try and kind of like finagle themselves away into this game, but that really is what it takes. It's not. Yeah. There's no sort of like honest, direct approach that's going to get them back into this game. Yeah. Right now, they kind of just, it's match point. So you try your best, you see what you can find, but the options are running out.
Absolutely, and that's really an important point, is that it's not completely over, but it's the writing is on the wall at this stage. I would agree that Fnatic have looked very strong recently, and there was some concerns about sort of player personalities and being completely okay with Ned, and he did end up dropping off of the team, and now Mushi's back, possibly a little bit of a reinvigoration. Not sure what all of that has to do with it, but whatever the case is, they certainly look strong right now. And meanwhile, MVP, they haven't looked weak necessarily. It's just that I think that their drafting could maybe use a little bit of work, or a little bit of trying to rethink how they deal with Fnatic at the very least. Because yesterday they looked incredibly strong. Fnatic or MVP just tore apart TNC, and I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how I rate MVP right here.
Yeah, MVP had been struggling, and then they started looking really good in the last couple of days. And this is just, I mean, the first two games of the series, they first picked their AA, which they were 8-0 with before the series, and then they lost with it twice in a row. And it makes you think that Fnatic had a plan coming in, that they had an understanding of what MVP had been doing, and they just dealt very well with it. If you go after the series, if you talk about the story of the series at all, it'll be centered around Fnatic and what they were doing, not MVP and what they were doing. And that's certainly not, MVP is not a reactive team. They don't like to be in that reactive spot, but Fnatic have managed in all of these games to push them into a reactive position.
Here we go, as it looks like their writing is going to be on the wall. As I said earlier, they're going to start to be able to right-click through this ancient granite golem. Mushi still not really afraid of anything, as they're going to throw out the X marks the spot, connecting onto the... They're just going to be able to pull him back again, and available if they want is the roar. That's going to be able to jump forward, bringing down MP very rapidly. They don't get the jump with him. The Witch Doctor ultimate is going on to Ohio, but there's going to be the Kunkka boat with the rum on all of them. There's just no way that they're going to end up falling here, and QO controlled and brought down. Finger of Death for good measure, why don't they? They're going to be able to X marks the spot for Ev. He gets pulled back, and they've got the lifesteal with the buyback, but honestly, I think that Fnatic can still take this if they want. They back out just because they don't want to overextend, but my god.
Yeah, they're just playing it safe because why not? There's no reason for them to take risks. They're at the points where they're in such a luxurious position where there's zero reason for them to make any risky play. They can be as safe as they want, and there's no kind of... Sometimes when you don't take any risks, even if you're ahead, it opens up possibilities for the enemy team to succeed in their risks or to catch up even just by farming you, but none of those things are here. There's MVP are going to have to do some miraculous thing in some team fight, and that's it for them. That's the only way they can win this game.
You saw right there as well, MP trying to think about going on Lion. The mid-hero Batrider doesn't feel comfortable jumping on the Lion, which is the position 5 for Fnatic, just because there's so much fear. I mean, I don't think that there's a great way for them to do it, because they can't take a 5-on-5 engagement. If they try and rotate 4 heroes for a smoke gank, it's going to be very evident that that's happening, because all the lanes are pushing in. The one little bit of good news that they have is that this lone druid still has farm, but it's not really in a way that's going to allow the rest of his team to be effective. It's just going to be able to keep the lanes pushed out, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder whether part of the reason for... I mean, no disrespect to 343 is a great player and a great draft, but I wonder whether part of the reason of switching the roles for Fnatic is that DJ is just such an insanely good player that, in some sense, I always feel like it's understated that 5 position is a very difficult role to play. Like, the hero who gets the very least on your team, still being able to not die a lot, be in the right position all the time. I mean, this is a Lion who... His team is crushing. It's 28 minutes and he still doesn't have a blink dagger because he's been buying all the support items. But despite that, he's 3-2 and 3. He still finds himself in strong positions, gets off good finger of deaths, and it's praise for DJ that even once he switched to the 5 position, when he gets so little, we still keep talking about great plays that he makes.
Yeah, well, he's still in certainly a good position right now. They do end up being able to get the Ice Path and gonna break the Lincolns for the moment. The Scotty was just recently picked up by mid 1. Lifestealer has his Desolator. Mushi is going to be able to kill off one of these. They end up X-marking the spot. The bear going to pull him back again, and the right clicks are starting to fly. They break the Lincolns. MP thinking about going. He does have a Force Staff as well if he wants to take this. But with Lincoln's about to come back off cooldown, they are going to be able to kill off that bear. 300 gold going their direction forever he summons. I think I saw a smoke from Febby, so he's smoked up. All right. The bear dropping low again. He might actually just die. They really don't have a great ability to stop this, and they end up jumping in, going to pull back Ohio, but is it going to be enough? They drop the boat onto everybody. QO already just completely eliminated, and Forev, MP, they're all going down as well. They're going to be able to chase him. GG, well played, ends up getting called, and with that, a 3-0 victory over MVP.Phoenix. Fnatic are your Southeast Asian qualifier team for the Summit 5. They're going to be going to LA. Lyrical Dota as well as Scantzor. Tell me what you think about this series. How'd you feel about it at the end?
Extremely one-sided. I mean, we did expect Fnatic to be the stronger team coming in, but this was it wasn't just 3-0, it was 3-0 with 3 one-sided games, and Fnatic appeared to be a much stronger team. In defense of MVP, you talk about the fact that they do have worse ping on these servers, and that is one of the reasons why MVP do usually perform better on LAN. Both these teams will be at the Manila Major next week, and I wouldn't be that surprised to see MVP showing up much more if they do come up against Fnatic again. Again, like I said, last time they faced each other on LAN at the Shanghai Major, MVP actually knocked Fnatic out of the tournament. So it's unfortunate for MVP that they miss out on a lot of LANs by being knocked out by Fnatic, because it seems that at those LANs they perform at a much higher level. But that takes nothing away from Fnatic, who've been fantastic, absolutely brilliant today. There's really almost nothing to criticize. There were like 1 or 2 moments where they mis-executed a gank in 1 or 2 of the games, but on the whole, they've played as good Dota as any other team is playing right now in the entire world.
Well, that's going to do it for us today. Again, your winners, Fnatic, and we'll hop on over to the bracket, see the road that they had to get where they're at right now, and they've been able to play through I don't think they dropped a game this whole set. They didn't lose to Execration, they didn't lose to TNC, and they didn't just lose to MVP.Phoenix. So, in the end, 7-0 finish through the Phase 2 of this bracket. One of the more dominant... This is the most dominant Phase 2 of the Summit 5 qualifiers that we've seen out of any region. So really, really well played there by Fnatic, and showing their dominance, again, of Southeast Asia. We're going to be back a little bit later on today. I believe that we have EU, that it's going to be continuing on with the Phase 2. So stay tuned to this channel, and if you feel so inclined, follow us casters at Lyrical Dota, at Scantzor. But more importantly, just continue to follow at Beyond the Summit, because there's going to be some more great Dota 2 to come soon. Any final words before we finish this one? I feel like I asked you that already.
Yeah, I think you did. I don't have much more to say. Thanks for having me on the cast again.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go to bed. Have a great one, everybody. I hope that wherever you are all over the world, you're enjoying your day, and go play some Dota, go watch some Dota. I'll catch you guys next time. Adios.